Well, the government have ended this week with a bang. They're running scared of the rebels, with 1/3 of Labour MPs revolting and 162 MPs in total across all parties. The other night, Starmer offered up 3 concessions to the rebels. All existing claimants won't be subject to the threshold, only those who apply for PIP after the new bill gets enacted. There will also be a new investment package for employment support, and there will be a consultation with disabled people to see its impacts on disabled people. So that's great, isn't it? We can create a division between pre-PIP cuts and post-PIP cuts for disabled people. Both disabled people before and after the PIP cuts will have the same disabilities, but both will be entitled to very different levels of support, if any at all. Then we have the investment for employment support packages. Louder for those at the back. PIP is not an out-of-work benefit. Do they think that we will no longer be disabled once we get back into work? There will still be disability barriers in work, and our capability of working will not change. In fact, if anything, working through our disabilities will make our disabilities much, much worse. Some of it is due to work-related barriers, but a lot of this is just down to how crippling our disabilities can be. After months and months of denial, the reality has finally come crashing home for Keir Starmer. Funnily enough, he said the other night that this is a government that listens. What a joke. If this was a government that listens, then why did he let this rebellion brew for months and months on end, while simultaneously denying that there was a rebellion at all? He's harping on about how there's a progressive argument to welfare reform. There is nothing at all progressive about throwing 250,000 vulnerable disabled people into poverty. These concessions are not enough. Sure, they save those who are already on PIP, but this will not help our future disabled people. Anyone making a progressive argument for welfare change will be making it easier to get, not harder. It's the very antithesis of progressive to say that being on disability welfare holds people back from working. Meg Hillier, the leader of the rebellion, welcomed the concessions, saying that it was a workable compromise. Pretty depressing. This is in no way workable. It shifts the problem into the future and creates 2 tiers of disabled people. The only win in these concessions is the consultation. This is not a workable compromise because the very premise of this bill is wrong and cruel. It's about taking money away from vulnerable disabled people in the midst of a cost of living crisis. The very premise of this bill is taking money away from people you know can't fend for themselves without it. Fortunately though, many of the rebels are saying that this is too little, too late, so it's looking very unclear how this vote will unfold on Tuesday, but it's certainly not looking good for the government. Especially as these concessions don't seem to have placated 50 of the rebels that have so far spoken out. Given that they've already had to make a concession for the winter fuel allowance, I can't believe that they've not learnt their lesson. Even then, the winter fuel allowance wasn't even rolled back. Only the thresholds were changed. This could have been put to bed for once and for all by reinstating it like before, and just making sure to get the money back via taxes for those who don't need it. Spending money to enforce these thresholds is just money and bureaucracy. It feels like this government is just desperate to harm vulnerable people who, in their eyes, can't be economically valuable to them. But the irony is, with all of these policies, if the disabled and elderly can't afford to heat their homes or eat, this will hit the NHS and social services. There's even been leaks that the government are planning to axe education, health and care plans, which are crucial lines of support for disabled children in schools. It makes no sense whatsoever to not invest in these people, let alone not investing in children's lives. When will the government learn that further entrenching inequality is not the answer? And how all this gets talked about in the press is infuriating. Whenever we discuss disability adaptations or financial support for disabled people, it's always under the lens of the rising cost of disability benefit, or how it's costing the taxpayer money, or how we're a burden on the NHS. Why is the conversation never from the perspective of the NHS is crumbling with little investment, leading to long wait times and worsening chronic health conditions, failing the disabled and vulnerable when they need it most? Or how about the welfare system is failing disabled people, making it difficult to work even if they are capable because people fear losing their benefits due to arbitrary and contrived definitions of disability? Or how about the fact that being disabled costs an extra £1,000 a month? The base disability welfare rate doesn't even cover half that cost. These are the true costs of lack of investment It's not immigrants, it's not trans people, it's not benefit scroungers, it's not disabled people. It's politicians at the top, it's billionaires refusing to pay tax, it's the government refusing to tax wealth, cutting our towns and city councils to the bone, creating dodgy deals with gambling companies and not enforcing billionaires to pay tax. Imagine if we could know that whatever our circumstances, we could get financial support for housing, food, and bills. Being able to live in the safety of knowing that I have a system that I can rely on, rather than being worried that I'll be plunged into poverty. Knowing that disabled people can try seeing if they can work for a few hours without risking losing their benefits. A welfare system that is built on the basis of compassion and support, one that doesn't put us through humiliating assessments that don't recognise the complexity of the disabled experience. So what happens next? After being kind of defeated already on the winter fuel allowance, it looks like he's heading straight for yet another defeat. A massive question in his confidence as leader, which raises questions. Could he be ousted as leader? And if so, who takes over as leader, and will they survive with his mandate? Surely it will be no one cutting from the same cloth as Starmer, given the rebellion. It's difficult to see how Starmer will survive till the end of his term, given his horrendous popularity statistics. With his U-turn on winter fuel allowance, given the welfare rebellion, and the EHCP leaks looking like yet another target for Sir Keir Starmer, it's not looking like he's heading for a very good record. So the vote happens next Tuesday afternoon. This weekend will hopefully give us more time and information about how both Rebels and Labour MPs plan on voting for this. But it's looking very stormy for the government right now. This is certainly not the behaviour of a government that is confident and has support and conviction in their policies. As for what we can do in the meantime, well, it bears repeating. We must get out there and find community of people who can uplift, see, understand and support us. It's dark times right now, and we need to heal and nourish in community, building up strong social support networks to help us mobilise whatever comes next. On that, Disabled People Against Cuts have a protest on June 30th at 4:30 p.m. and another for the votes on July 1st at 1 p.m. If you have the time, resources and spoons, attend those protests and make your voices heard. But also, reach out, connect with the other activists there and make friends. We're all going to need each other more than ever to weather the upcoming storms. But you can also write to your MP. Ask them if they will consider joining the rebellion if they haven't already. If they have, then ask them what their plans are with next week's votes. I've included a link in the description with a template letter. But last of all, spread the word. Talk to your family and friends about this. The more people who are educated on this matter, the better. We've seen the polls. People are not educated on this. So it's about time to get them on board. But most of all, as grim as things look, be there for others and let others be there for you. Join in on movements like DPAC, Disabled People Against Cuts, or Crips Against Cuts, and find people who understand. Until next time, thanks a lot.